I'm trying to get every single achievement on the Game Pass, using this wheel to pick the game. Now, let's give the wheel a spin. Let's give this wheel another spin then. We've had a good range of games throughout this series, so let's see what we get next. Interesting. I've definitely heard of Grim Fandango again, so let's go and have a look into this. Grim Fandango is a game released in 1998 by LucasArts. It's an adventure game where the main aims are to converse with characters, examine, collect, and use objects to solve puzzles. The version on the Game Pass is the remastered version, so the graphics and the audio have been vastly improved. The game follows Manny, who is in the land of the dead, which has been styled like the 1950s. Manny is a travel agent who attempts to save new souls and move them on to the afterlife. This game is widely known as one of the best story games of all time. Before we jump into the video, if you haven't already, can you click the subscribe button, because it goes a massive way of showing me that I'm doing the right thing. If you have any ways to improve these videos, please comment and let me know, and I'll take that into consideration for sure. So let's jump into the video and get all of the achievements in Grim Fandango. Looking into the achievements of Grim Fandango, I worked out that a good 95% of these are missable. This means that I need to interact with every item and make sure that I have every conversation possible with all of the people in this world. Unfortunately, if I do miss any achievements, I then have to go back to my previous checkpoint, which, if I haven't saved it for a while, could take me a while to get back to. Once you watch the first few cutscenes and are able to maneuver around the offices, you get the opportunity to go and speak to Eva. She's the receptionist in the company that you work for, where you basically help the dead get to heaven or hell. While speaking to her, you get the opportunity to ask her how she got stuck here and it didn't move on to the next stage of death. Once you do this, you'll get the first achievement of the game.
So what did you do in life to get stuck here?
What I did back in the fat days is none of your business. You know the rules.
Whilst with Eva, you'll also notice that there's a hole punch on her desk. Simply going around and interacting with the hole punch will get you the achievement, gets the aggressions out, doesn't it?
Thanks.
Gets the aggressions out, doesn't it?
After finishing off at the front desk, it's time to go down to the basement and talk to the mechanic. The mechanic is Glottis, this big demon-like thing that is being created to drive. This is the first time that you get to talk to him, so it's important to ask him about his cravings, which will unlock another achievement.
If you hate your job, why don't you quit?
It's not just a job, it's what I was created to do. If I get any farther away from cars than this, I'll get sick and die. It's like I'm not happy unless I'm breathing in the thick, black, nauseating fumes.
Outside of the office, there's a festival going on. Unfortunately, the festival's being blocked by a few stalls and a clown making balloons. Once again, it's important that you go and speak to him. While speaking to the clown, you can get him to make you a couple of balloons, and if you time it correctly and scare him at the right time, you'll get him to pop it, which will unlock the next achievement.
Bang! Popped another one. Lousy, bony fingers.
After wandering about, it's now time to do your actual job. This basically consists of getting someone that's recently died and bringing them into the office to work out how you can get them to where they need to go. However, with this being the case, it also offers up the opportunity to cause some mischief. Whilst you're in the diner where this person has died, make sure you go around and scare a few of the patrons that are just sat there enjoying their meal.
Scaring the living is technically against the rules, but we all do it. If I scare them to death...
Unfortunately, like all good offices, the servers go down when you want to do something. This means you need to go down to the service room and see the person who's responsible for fixing them. The servers aren't massive, and the bloke is massive, so it doesn't really make sense how he's in there. Whilst down there, make sure to ask the monster who's called Brannis how he got into the machine.
Just curious, how'd you get in there?
I squeezed down one of these tubes like a pixie.
The next client arrives in your office. This time, it's a lady called Meche. Whilst looking through her record of being alive, it turns out that she's done nothing wrong, but does not qualify for the highest quality treatment that she should. Clearly something's going on, so you've got to grill her a little bit just to make sure that she's telling the full truth. If you ask her the correct questions, you'll get another achievement.
Work with me, Meche. Give me some dirt.
Well, I could do something bad right now, if that would help.
Clearly something's going on, and the people that should be going to the highest tier of the afterlife aren't making it there for some weird reason. This is when you then get recruited by an organisation that's trying to work out this nefarious plot. After speaking to them, you start to get an understanding of what really is going on in the afterlife and why this is happening. This also gets you another achievement.
Do you know something I don't know?
Have you ever wondered why your clients, even your best clients, never seem to qualify for the packages you know they deserve? Well, they all did qualify, Manuel. Especially her. But somehow, somebody with access to the files has stolen their just rewards. Their sweet hereafters.
Their tickets on the number 9?
Precisamente, amigo.
It also turns out that your secretary Ava is a spy, and she has a very important message for you.
Secretary. Any messages for me?
Yes. Join or die.
Your first objective from the secret organization is to gather more information on what's going on. A way to do this is break into one of your colleagues' offices and hack into their computer. Unfortunately, their computer has a password on it, so it's not as easy as it seems. If you attempt to guess Domino's password a few times, you'll get another achievement.
Arrogant fraud doesn't work.
The second objective that you get from them is to acquire a pigeon egg. Unfortunately, the pigeons in this world are pretty aggressive and don't seem to be that friendly. Earlier on, when you're speaking to the clown who's making the balloons, if you get him to make a balloon in the shape of Robert Frost, no clue who that is, and then use that balloon to intimidate the pigeons, you'll get another achievement.
Run, you pig! Hey!
To continue your investigation, you now have to move on to the different areas of the Afterlife. One of these areas is a tree farm. Not really too sure what that is, but that's what it's called. Whilst here, you can ask Glottis about the tree farm, and he'll give you a little bit more information, as well as an achievement.
Glottis, what are they doing to that tree?
The power of these trees, man. They suck it out. It's like cement.
The next location that you end up at is Rubacava. At this point, Meche, the woman that you're attempting to help back at the office, has been kidnapped by the higher-ups, and you're attempting to hunt her down, and that's what brings you to Rubacava. Unfortunately though, you have no real way of leaving it, so you need to get a job. This is where you find yourself at a cafe where there's one lone worker, so you need to ask him for a job. You may not get a job, but you definitely get an achievement.
Can you get me a job here?
We only have one mop.
Also in Rubacava, you'll find a captain. This is Captain Velasco, and he has a very distinctive eye patch. I know you're not meant to do these things, but simply go up to him and ask him about his eye patch, and he'll give you a little bit of detail about it. Alongside the little bit of extra information, you'll also get an achievement.
Can I just ask, what is under the eye patch? Because I know it's not an eye.
And that one eye socket used to scream like a banshee when the trade winds blew, so I plugged her.
Now that you've had these conversations and unlocked these two achievements, it's now time to complete the puzzles and return the book to Celso to be able to get his job. This means you've now completed the first year of being in the underworld, getting you the achievement Year 1, moving you on to the second part of the game. Now that you're in Year 2, you jump forwards a little bit of time. You now own a club in Rubacava, and it looks pretty swanky, I do say myself. Within the club, you've got a bar, a casino area, and you seem to be doing pretty well in business too. With there being a time jump, it's now the perfect opportunity to get an understanding of what the undercover organisation have been up to. You do this by checking the letters that you've been receiving, and you get a slight update on how the pigeons have been doing.
Great news. We've discovered a new secret talent of our tiny messengers.
Danger a little, but I do feel pretty stupid.
Also, with Glottis being the greatest character in this game, I think it's a perfect opportunity to see what he's been up to and just see how he's doing. He looks like he's been enjoying life, to be fair, in this previous year, and looks to have gotten a job as the pianist in the bar. But it's always good just to make sure that he is actually doing well, so you bring up the opportunity about leaving in the near future. Doing this, you'll unlock your next achievement.
You know, when we leave, I'm actually gonna miss this place.
Plus, we look good in these clothes.
Whilst being in the bar area, I suppose it makes sense to get the benefits of being a bar owner. This means going behind the bar and having a cheeky swig of some pretty expensive alcohol.
Well, maybe just a sip.
Another employee that you have at your bar is Lupe. She works at the front entrance, sort of as a coat check lady. She clearly takes a lot of pride in her work and has created a new organisational structure that she's very happy with. So you've got to do the kind thing of just asking her how it is. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're listening though.
Okay, tell me all the details about your new code check system.
So what I'm doing is, I give one to everyone who checks a code in and... Manny, you're not even listening to me!
It turns out the only real way of getting out of Rubicava is by boat, and that isn't as easy as it seems, as you need a few key items to be able to do this, alongside also knowing someone that has a boat. This means that we need to pay a visit to the captain down at the port. Whilst we're down here, you'll also see the moon looking very beautiful up in the sky, so if you interact with it, you'll get another achievement.
It shone pale as bone.
One of these key items that you need is a passport. And like in real life, if you aren't from a particularly great place, they're not the easiest thing in the world to collect. One person in Rubicava that may know how to get one though is Chow Chiller Charlie. He's a gangster that loiters around these ends. Handily, he's chilling in the casino that you own, so it's time to go pay him a visit. Once you pay him a visit and question about this passport, you'll get your next achievement of the game.
So can you make passports?
We are all citizens of the same nation, and our king rides a pale horse.
It's now time to do some more exploring around Rubicava and see if there's any other ways to escape this land. Another part of Rubicava is a racing track. Here you can bet, you can eat, and you can drink. All of the things that make life great, really. Obviously, with that, there needs to be a kitchen, so you venture in there. Stood in front of some giant doors that take you down to the wine cellar is a big beast called Ator. You never know, there might be some things down there, so you politely ask him if you can go down to the wine cellar. This gets you another achievement.
Maybe you could take me down now.
Oh, yeah. I could take you down, but I can't eat customers anymore.
The owner of the racetrack and very swanky bar that's a major rival to Manny is Maximino. He's not a particularly nice bloke. Even though this is the case, whilst you're at the racetrack, it's still nice to pop in and give him a visit. Once again, this can be very easily missed, but if you do this, you'll get another achievement.
Hello, Maximino.
Why, if it ain't Manny Calavera, come to see how the big boys play, eh, Manny?
Well, I'll let you get back to staring.
All that Rubicava really seems to offer are bars. So this means we're now going into another bar. This one's located underneath Manny's casino / bar / whatever you want to call it. Unlike the others, this offers the opportunity to do poetry. If you go up to the stage and interact with it, it gives you the opportunity to perform your very own poem.
Good evening. I like to read a poem. I ache.
Once you've finished performing your poem, don't make the mistake that I did where I went on for a bit too long. Go over and speak to the bar owner, Olivia. You can then ask her to go and perform some poetry herself. Very quickly, you realise that the poem that she's performing is actually the one that you've just performed. Once she's finished, this will pop another achievement.
The lie. Inside a dream, inside a dream.
Well, catch you later, hip.
It's now time to go after another object. This is a metal detector, and there's only one place that you know where there is one. This is with the security guard, Carla. Carla's lovely, but she's also the kind of person that just has a lot to say for herself. After trying to be polite and listening to her talk for a little while, you then just have to ask for the metal detector, really. Unfortunately, this will upset her, but it does mean that you get the metal detector as well as another achievement.
Here, let me hold that metal detector for you while you cry.
Did you just come back here to ask to borrow my metal detector?
With the metal detector in your inventory, it's now time to get the next object you need to get out of Rubicava. First off, you have to get some dog tags off of a sailor that's very drunk getting a tattoo. Then head over to Membrillo, who's preparing a couple of corpses that have sprouted. Sprouted is what happens to the dead when they die further and no longer exist. Put the dog tags on one of these corpses and give the metal detector to Membrillo, giving the illusion that the person's dog tag is the person who has died. However, before you do this, make sure to ask Membrillo about why he's still here.
Manny, we've given up. All of us.
Returning back to the bar that's attached to the racetrack, it's now time to chat to the lawyer Virago. This is just to get an idea if you could hire him as a lawyer at any point if you need him. Unfortunately, he seems a bit too big time for you. Apart from getting big timed, you will get an achievement for talking to him, so it is worth doing.
You are, Nick.
So sorry, but I don't do odd jobs.
Whilst in Rubicava, it's important to go down to the port. One of these reasons is for another achievement that could potentially be easily missed if you progress too far into the story before doing it. This achievement is to talk to the worker bees and basically go through all of the dialogue options, just to make sure that you talk to them about the union and what it's like being a worker bee.
Why don't you just pay the union off then?
We got our pride, Manny. We're straight stingers, you know?
It's now also time to check in with Glottis once again. With him constantly being at the piano like he is, I think this is a great opportunity to get him to belt out some classics. And he chooses the song Rusty Anchor. Just listen to him sing this absolutely beautiful song and then you'll get another achievement.
Oh, my boat's got a rusty anchor.
Rusty as she can be.
When you return back to the worker bees, it turns out that that conversation you had earlier about unions and working has really gone to their head. They're now on strike and performing a protest. I think it's only fair because you're the one that sort of gave them the idea to join in the protest too. Make sure to repeat what they're saying, and if you do this for long enough, making sure that you get all the ones accurate, you'll get another achievement.
Got no skin, got no hair. Got no skin, got no hair. Manny Calavera. Manny Calavera. Got no skin, got no hair. Got no skin, got no hair. Hell no, we won't work. Hell no, we won't.
Eventually, you'll get all the items required and do all the tasks that you need to in Rubicava, and it enables you to get on the boat. This means that you can then progress on to the next stages of this game, which also coincides with this ending Year 2, which unlocks you another achievement. Life on the boat doesn't last too long and you soon become shipwrecked. Unsurprisingly, the circumstances on the bottom of the ocean aren't the best, so you quickly have to come up with a way to get out of here. This is where you meet a little guy called Chapito. He seems pretty jolly walking around singing his songs, so you ask him how long he's been down here for. This will get you the first achievement of being in Year 3.
How long have you been down here?
Well, let me put it this way. I wasn't always this color. Mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
Unfortunately, you get picked up by Domino. He's also kidnapped Meche and he holds you hostage too. When you come to, you're sharing your room with two little angelitos. My guess is they're children that have unfortunately passed away. Manny clearly isn't very good at talking to children, so very quickly asks them about their parents, which makes them cry, getting you another achievement.
You bite me and I'll sue your parents.
Our parents?
Okay, back to work.
Eventually, in this other place, you'll find Meche. She clearly doesn't really understand what's going on, so you have to try and explain to her what the overall picture is looking like, and you're not the person to blame. This doesn't go very well, but thankfully does get you another achievement.
I have a lot of explaining to do.
Save your breath. Domino's explained it all to me already.
It's now time to go to Domino and accuse him of all the information that you've got of him stealing people's tickets that are stopping them from getting to the afterlife. As you can guess, Domino's response was, as you can imagine.
You stole all these people's tickets?
Okay, how much of this haven't you figured out, Calavera?
Chapito has also been made to do some manual labour. Fortunately, he doesn't seem to be too disappointed about this. This seems to be down to the fact that he's got some great new equipment. So make sure you ask him about his new drill to be able to get another achievement in this game.
Nice drill.
Drill? This here is a cordless high-speed reciprocating chisel. And look, it's a bust-all.
After continuing to explore this area and meeting all the people around here, whilst completing some other puzzles, you then get to a final showdown with Domino. This scrap consists of both of you on top of a submarine going at each other with scythes. It truly is a Grim Reaper showdown. What you're meant to do in this situation is hit the giant eyeball that's behind you instead of actually fighting Domino. This is because he's much stronger than you and you can't really beat him this way. However, if you continually attack him over and over again and embarrass yourself over and over again, you'll get yourself another achievement. After defeating Domino, you then arrive at the final location of the game, which is the Land of the Eternal Rest. This is where all the souls' journey ends. Now that you've reached here, this will unlock the achievement Year 3, which is for spending 3 years in the 8th Underworld. As you've kind of dragged Chapito into this without him really wanting to be involved, it's only fair to send him on his way. He's quite happily paddling around in that little pond there, but if you go and speak to him and then convince him to move on to the next level of the afterlife, he will do, unlocking you another achievement.
Goodbye, Chapito.
Happy trails, Captain.
If you try and follow Chapito, you'll get another achievement, but I do agree with Manny that it's probably not the right look to be able to go and escape without everyone else you're trying to help. Just down the stairs from where you found Chapito, you'll find a coffin led on the floor. Inside this coffin is Bruno. Bruno's a character that you meet earlier in the game that you just try and get rid of when he comes into your office. You do this by filling his coffin full of cement and just sending him on his way. Since then, Manny's had a bit of a turnaround, so you help Bruno on his way too.
I'm getting out of here. This world's for suckers.
Continuing to explore this area, you then find Glottis. Once again, he's not looking in a very good way. He's being worked on by these little dudes that are called mechanics. After speaking to them, it turns out that Glottis' only purpose is to drive cars, and because he hasn't done that for so long, he's slowly dying. When you talk to these mechanics, you unlock another achievement. Earlier on in the game, when you're in Rubicava, you meet up with someone called Lola, who is another one of the spies. Unfortunately, when you get there, she's begun to sprout, meaning that she's dying. At this point in the story, you return back to Rubicava just to tie up some loose ends. If you return to the top of the lighthouse where you found Lola, you'll get the achievement, Oh Lola. In Rubicava, Glottis' car is being kept away from him. There's also traps that are located around the car stopping you from getting to it. Fortunately, Glottis sneezes all over these traps and then you use nitrogen to freeze them. If you then go and interact with the vehicle before disarming the bomb, you'll crack a joke at Glottis' expense.
Soon to be known as the Blown Wagon.
Hey, that's not funny!
The final achievement in the game before you get the last few for just completing the game is located in the HQ headquarters that you return to near the end. Simply just go up to the radio and play with it and you'll unlock the achievement.
Manuel, is everything okay?
Maybe you should shut that thing off.
I'm not going to spoil the ending of this game for anyone, as I haven't really spoiled any of the main key points throughout it up to this point. But once you reach the end of the game, you'll unlock a few achievements for completing it. The first of these is the right way. To get this, you basically just have to play the game on tank controls the whole time. These are a bit fiddly to begin with, but after a while you get the hang of it. Alongside this, you'll also unlock Year 4 for completing the game. Strangely, when I'd collected all these achievements, the final achievement of the game had not popped, so I just had to come out of the game and go back into it. Grim Fandango was one of those games that I definitely heard of, but never really seen too much about, apart from maybe some of the art style and the characters. When I then actually looked into it and saw that it was a remaster of a game that came out in 1998, I wasn't too sure what to make of it. Didn't know if it would be one of those games that people hold in high regards due to nostalgia, or if it still actually holds up and is good fun. Having now played it and done everything that there is in this game, I can understand why people hold it so highly. The story's great, the characters are great, it's really well written, the art style's its own, and I can just definitely see why it's got that appeal. Don't get me wrong, it's still very dated, and you can tell that it's a game that came out in 1998, but I think if you know that and you're happy going into it, you'll have a great time with it. Some of the puzzles are a bit stupid in the sense that they don't really make a whole lot of sense, and you have to really think about it, but then they are really rewarding once you finish them. It's definitely a game I'd recommend if you've never played before, as it's definitely an experience. If you haven't already and you've made it this far in the video, a like and a subscribe would go a far way just to show that I'm doing well and you want to see more of this content. Thank you for getting to this point, and I'll see you in the next video.